In this video, we'll continue Chapter 3. This video involves energy and nutrition. We'll want to learn to use energy values to calculate the total energy in kilocalories or kilojoules for a food or an activity. For example, 1 hour of swimming uses 2100 kilojoules of energy. Did you ever wonder how those calorie values got onto the nutrition label for your food? Well, scientists or nutritionists burn food in a calorimeter that's used to measure heat transfer to water from the food as it's burned. It consists of a steel container filled with oxygen and a measured amount of water. The heat that's gained by the water is equal to the heat that's lost by a sample during combustion. In a calorimeter, which is also called a bomb calorimeter, the burning of a food sample increases the temperature of the water, which is used to calculate the energy value for the food. Here's a diagram of a calorimeter. The food sample is placed into a chamber called a bomb, where ignition wires also exist. There's oxygen injected into the bomb area, and a stirrer stirs the water surrounding this steel combustion chamber. The ignition wires heat the sample, and the food is ignited and burned, and the heat that's given off by the burning of the sample heats the water and increases the temperature, which can be measured by a manual reading thermometer, like an analog thermometer, or in newer versions, there's a computer attached which can measure the change in temperature. This change in temperature can be used to calculate the energy value for the food. We see here that on food labels, energy is shown as the nutritional calorie, which is written with a capital C. In countries other than the United States, energy is usually shown in kilojoules. 1 big calorie, or a nutritional calorie, is equal to 1,000 calories, or a kcal. So we differentiate a big calorie from a little calorie by using a capital C. The caloric or energy value for 1 gram of food is given in kilojoules or kilocalories. The typical energy values are different for each food type. For example, carbohydrates contain about 4 kcals per gram, or 17 kilojoules per gram. Fat contains 9 kcals per gram, or 38 kilojoules per gram. Protein contains 4 kcals per gram, or 17 kilojoules per gram. Here are some different energy values for common foods, including the carbohydrate, fat, and protein content. We'll look at a few common values. An apple, for example, contains about 15 grams of carbohydrate, no fat, and no protein, with a total of 60 kcals. Broccoli contains about 4 grams of carbohydrates, no fat, and 3 grams of protein, with about 30 kcals. Chicken, with no skin, about 3 ounces, contains no carbohydrates, 3 grams of fat, and 20 grams of protein, for a total of 110 kcals. A baked potato contains about 23 grams of carbohydrates, no fat, and 3 grams of protein, for a total of 100 kcals. A 3-ounce steak contains no carbohydrates, 27 grams of fat, and 19 grams of protein, for a total of 320 kcals. Let's have a learning check. A cup of whole milk contains 13 grams of carbohydrates, 9 grams of fat, and 9 grams of protein. How many kcals does a cup of whole milk contain? Let's calculate that. Remember that carbohydrates contain 4 kcals per gram. Fat contains 9 kcals per gram, and protein contains 4 kcals per gram. Here we have 13 grams of carbohydrates, 9 grams of fat, and 9 grams of protein. So we can multiply 13 times 4 to get 50, 9 times 9 to get 80, and 9 times 4 to get 40. When we add those together, we get 170 kcals. Of course, these values were rounded to one significant figure, so they may not be exact. The number of kcals needed in a daily diet for an adult will vary from person to person, but here are some common examples of the amount of energy required for a typical adult per day. For example, an average young female should consume about 2,100 kcals per day, or an average male about 2,700. A person will lose weight when they intake less energy than they output. Here are some examples of the energy requirements for various common activities.